Oh, all right, so we're back. Alex just got back from, I guess, a little snafu he had with his internet on his computer. But where we last were uh, the nominees for outstanding directing for a limited series or movie. So you were reading the nominees. So would you mind doing that again?
Sure. And sorry about that, folks. My I'd gone down to my basement after feeding my dogs, and even though it's comfy down there, the basement's not the best place for internet connection. Sometimes it freezes down there, but I'm in a more connected place in the house. All right. So yeah, once again, the nominees for directing for a limited series or movie are where's yes, here it is. The nominees are Jean-Marc Vallée for all 7 episodes of Big Little Lies. He submitted the whole thing, not just one, because he directed all 7 of them. Noah Hawley for the Fargo episode, The Law of Vacant Places. Ryan Murphy for the Feud Betty and Joan episode, and the winner is the Oscars of 1963. Ron Howard for the Genius episode, Einstein Chapter 1. James Marsh for the Night of episode, The Art of War. And Steven Zalian for the Night of episode, The Beach.
Okay,
So
I did not realize James Marsh directed an episode of The Night of, because he's, for those who may not know, he's an Oscar-winning documentary filmmaker. He also made The Theory of Everything, which of course won Eddie Redmayne the Oscar for his performance as Stephen Hawking.
And Steven Zalian won the Best Adapted Screenplay Oscar for Schindler's List.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And Jean-Marc Vallée, while he did not get an Oscar nomination for directing Dallas Buyers Club, he did get a nomination for editing it, although he edited under a pseudonym, kind of like what the Coen brothers do.
Yes,
And Steven Soderbergh.
I was about to say that. Yeah, it was John McMurphy.
Right, but that was really Jean-Marc Vallée, just
Mm-hmm.
editing under a
Yeah,
pseudonym. Kind of
and it
like
was
how the
kind of in
Coen.
English as well.
Yeah. Okay, but so my rankings, I have Big Little Lies in first place, then I have The Night of the Beach in second, Feud Betty and Joan, and the winner is in third, Fargo, The Law of Vacant Places in fourth, The Night of The Art of War in fifth, and Genius Einstein Chapter 1 in sixth.
Okay, I definitely have Big Little Lies winning. I think Jean-Marc Vallée is probably following the path of Suzanne Bier last year, who pulled an upset by winning for the Night of not Night of Night
The Night
Manager.
Manager.
Yes, who who at least made a film that won the foreign language film Oscar several years ago, and directed all episodes of the miniseries.
Mm-hmm. And Jean-Marc Vallée, of course, directed Dallas Buyers Club, which won Oscars for both Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto. And then he went on to direct Wild, which earned Reese Witherspoon her second Oscar nomination after she won for
And
Walk the
Laura
Line in 2005.
and Laura Dern was also nominated.
Yes, yes. So Jean-Marc Vallée is almost kind of having like a little reunion of sorts with both Reese Witherspoon and Laura Dern. And I think Jean-Marc Vallée does have a distinct advantage here because he said in an interview, he said when directing this, he did not approach it as a limited series. He said he approached it as if he were directing a 7-hour uncut film that he had to find a way to cut into 7 different parts. Because he directed all 7 of these episodes, whereas The Night of has several directors, and same thing with Feud and I assume Fargo as well, and
Yeah,
Genius
I
probably as
believe
well.
Yeah, I believe Fargo had different directors on episodes. But yeah, Big Little Lies I have in first place, though I do have Feud in second place, mainly because of all the acclaim Ryan Murphy received for recreating the 1963 Oscars. There's even a video on YouTube which shows you side by side footage from the actual night of the events, followed by the events depicted on Feud. And yeah, I do have the beach episode of the night of in third place. I have Genius in fourth, Fargo in fifth, and the Art of War episode of the night of in sixth.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. I think ultimately it doesn't really matter what the bottom rankings are because Big Little Lies probably wins this in a landslide. I would imagine. But I would have put Ryan Murphy in second place if Feud did better at the Creative Arts Awards, because I did consider it, putting him in second place. But then following the night of's unexpected success, I decided to put that in second place and then Feud in third.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, again, like you said, if Big Little Lies wins, it shouldn't matter, though. I guess unless the night of or feud ends up winning, though I guess if the night of were to win, it would have to depend on which episode. But yeah, so
Right, because you run the risk of vote splitting there.
yeah. So now on to movie mini rating. The nominees are Big Little Lies, all 7 episodes written by David E. Kelly, Michelle Pfeiffer's husband. Black Mirror for the episode San Junipero, written by Charlie Brooker. Fargo for the episode The Law of Vacant Places, written by Noah Hawley. Feud, Betsy and Joan, the winner, and for the episode, and the winner is the Oscars of 1963, written by Ryan Murphy. Feud, Betsy and Joan for the pilot, written by Jeffy Cohen, Michael Zamm, and Ryan Murphy. And The Night Of for the episode The Call of the Wild, written by Richard Price and Steven Zalian.
All right, yeah, and I like the directing. I think Big Little Lies will win this, and then I have Black Mirror, San Junipero in second, Feud, Betty and Joan, and the winner is in third. The Night of, The Call of the Wild in fourth. Feud, Betty and Joan, the pilot in fifth, and Fargo, The Law of Vacant Places in sixth.
Well, I do have Big Little Lies winning, though I have The Night Of in second place. Well, for two reasons. One, I guess, being its success at Creative Arts, which we'll see on Sunday if it was a good sign, but I guess as well as the fact that it's not up against itself in this category, unlike directing where there's no vote splitting. Plus, I guess it should be interesting to see if that and Big Little Lies will split writing and directing. But yeah, the Oscar episode I have in third place of Feud I have in third place. Black Mirror I have in fourth. Fargo in fifth, and the pilot episode of Feud in sixth.
Yeah, well, I put Black Mirror in second mainly because since it's the front runner for best TV movie, I figured if it's the front runner there, then that would increase its chances of possibly winning here and maybe pulling an upset for Big Little Lies, because this is like a sole entry and it's not just one part of something. But I think Big Little Lies will win because it's much longer. It's 7 hours if you count the whole thing, and it's written by just one person instead of a different writer per episode. Plus, David E. Kelly is very respected in the television industry, and some might say he's long overdue for an Emmy, because I don't believe he's won an Emmy for writing since L.A. Law, and I don't think he's won an Emmy at all since he won for both. I could be wrong. He might have won after this, but I know for sure that he's the only person in history to ever win as a producer of Best Comedy Series and Best Drama Series in the same year in 1999, when Ally McBeal won Comedy Series and The Practice won Drama Series, and he was the creator and producer of both of them.
That's a good point. So now I guess on to Outstanding Reality Competition Program.
Okay, and then all right, and the nominees for reality competition program are The Amazing Race, American Ninja Warrior, Project Runway, RuPaul's Drag Race, Top Chef, and The Voice.
All right, so I have, especially given how well he did at the Creative Arts last weekend, I have RuPaul's Drag Race out in first place, with The Voice in second, The Amazing Race in third, Top Chef in fourth, Project Runway in fifth, and American Ninja Warrior in sixth.
All right, I also have RuPaul's Drag Race in first place. I have The Voice in second, The Amazing Race in third, Project Runway in fourth, Top Chef in fifth, and American Ninja Warrior in sixth.
Yes, so I guess a good reason to keep The Voice and Amazing Race in the top tier, because, well, they've won this award before.
And I have, and I was torn between putting Project Runway and Top Chef in fourth and fifth place because they both won some Emmys. I know Top Chef won an upset win in 2010, and then Project Runway, while it's never won the top category, it did win host for Heidi Klum and Tim Gunn in 2013, the only time they've won that. But I guess I kind of just did a random pick in fourth and fifth place, and then I put American Ninja Warrior in sixth because I honestly didn't think it would come back this year. I thought it was just a surprise nomination last year, but I guess it isn't because obviously it's back a second time, but it hasn't really gotten any other nominations that I can remember. So I mean, The Voice. I think RuPaul's Drag Race is the front runner because it's just gotten so many more nominations this year than it has in years past, and I could see maybe some Emmy voters feeling it's time for The Voice to take a year off since it's won the last few years in a row. But similar to the Amazing Race, if Emmy voters really love The Voice, they could easily give it to them again because the Amazing Race won for like from 2002 to 2009 that won all those years before Top Chef upset, and then The Amazing Race won two more times, and then The Voice, and then I think The Amazing Race won it one more time, and then The Voice won the last two times. I think I'd have to check, but I just know it's always been like those four have been the ones that have always won.
Mm-hmm. Now on to Outstanding Variety Talk Series. The nominees are Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, The Late Late Show with James Corden, and Real Time with Bill Maher.
I think, so I have John Oliver in first place, Samantha Bee in second, Stephen Colbert in third, Jimmy Kimmel Live in fourth, James Corden in fifth, and then Bill Maher in sixth.
Those are my same exact rankings.
I mean, Bill Maher is easily going to be in last place because of the N-word controversy surrounding him.
Oh yeah, and I guess, and of course, and up ahead of him is James Corden. Well, he won 2 Emmys last week at the Creative Arts Awards, one for his Carpool Karaoke special and the other for hosting last year's Tony Awards.
Mm-hmm. But I don't have him ranked higher than Jimmy Kimmel, mainly because I know James Corden, they say he might have won the Carpool Karaoke for the Primetime special, for the Variety special, because it was the only non-political nominee there, but I feel...
the one apple in a bag of oranges.
Right, but I feel that since these shows are almost always about politics, no matter what, that won't be the case this year with the apple in the bag of oranges. But I have Jimmy Kimmel ranked higher, not just necessarily for politics, but I guess for many things. For his hosting of the Oscars and the acclaim for that, as well as how he handled the Best Picture snafu, plus the fact that he touched a lot of people with the story of how his newborn son needed open heart surgery and how and then he went on the epic rant against Donald Trump and how people in that same situation who aren't as rich as he is would suffer a lot if Obamacare were to be eliminated.
Well, yeah, and of course his entire year kind of started when he hosted last year's Emmys.
Yeah. But I guess the only reason why I don't have Stephen Colbert higher than he is maybe some Emmy voters could feel he went too far when he got into a lot of hot water for using some less than clean language when just describing Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. And there was some were calling for Colbert to be fired. Some Trump supporters were like, "How dare you insult the president?" And others were like, "How dare you use that kind of language where children could be watching?" And
that late at night, huh?
they could probably watch him on YouTube.
Well, yes.
Plus, there was the whole matter of whether or not the FCC would fine him for using the word, and ultimately they did not. But I think Samantha Bee does have a higher chance because not just because she didn't get into as much controversy, but also because she won big with her not the White House Correspondents' Dinner special.
last weekend, yeah.
But John Oliver, I think, is still out front because he's still the most prominent of all these, the most the most, I guess, direct with the things he talks about. You know, he mixes humor. He's very humorous, but he gets straight to the point without with like no BS or anything.
Yeah. So next category, and this is my second big pick, and that's variety sketch series. So read off the nominees.
Okay, and the nominees are Billy on the Street, Documentary Now, Drunk History, Portlandia, Saturday Night Live, and Tracy Ullman's Show. And first things first, let me just say I hate Billy on the Street. Oh, God. Oh, I seriously don't get why people find that show funny, because to me what he does is that's not humor, that's harassment. The way he just jumps in front of people and is like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" I mean, it's like he expects people to know what he's talking about. I remember they even played a clip of this on the Emmys when they were due for some humorous bit involving Tatiana Maslany getting snubbed. He just jumped in front of a random old woman and said, "Miss Tatiana Maslany got snubbed." And she's like, "Oh, how unfortunate." When she probably had no idea who Tatiana Maslany was or what she got snubbed for. I mean, maybe some old ladies out there do know who she is, but if I asked my grandparents if they knew who Tatiana Maslany was, they would not have any clue, because they don't watch BBC America.
Yeah. So where do you have Billy ranked in your predictions?
Well, just, ranking in terms of his likeliest chance of winning and disregarding my personal feelings about him, I did put him in third just because he has the potential to probably win, but he thankfully, hopefully, will not. And I haven't watched the show Difficult People because I hear his character and his co-star, they're just like those two completely unlikable people who you're supposed to root for anyway, which is why I hate It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
My brothers love that show, but I just cannot stand it. But people are like, "That's the whole point. We like that these are unlikable characters." That's not me imitating my brothers. That's me imitating other fanboys I've debated on the internet about the show. They're like, "You're not supposed to like them. That's what makes it funny." Okay, but my full rankings are Saturday Night Live in first place, Portlandia in second, Billy on the Street in third, Tracy Ullman Show in fourth, Documentary Now in fifth, and Drunk History in sixth.
Okay, I have most of the same rankings. Yeah, I think especially from its nominations tally to its success at Creative Arts last week, and Saturday Night Live is probably almost a lock here.
Yeah, I do think it is a lock, yeah. I mean, especially with the whole Saturday Night Live always is like it's always at the peak of its of being honored at the Emmys and for being well received by the general public during an election cycle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it won big in many categories in 2009 during the time when Tina Fey was Sarah Palin. And I was so excited when I learned I would be addressing you with Senator Clinton tonight. That's my best. I can't. It's hard for me to do the imitation.
See Russia from my house.
Or it was like, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I mean, talk about just a perfect political imitation. Tina Fey I just have to applaud her because that was just so brilliant. And of course, we've now had two actresses win Emmys for playing Sarah Palin, Tina Fey in a comedic sense and Julianne Moore in a dramatic sense.
Yes. As for the rest of my rankings, okay, Saturday Night Live in first, Tracy Ullman's Show in second, Billy on the Street in third, Portlandia in fourth, Documentary Now in fifth, and Drunk History in sixth.
All right. Okay, and then next we have Variety Series Directing.
All right. The nominees there are Drunk History for the episode Hamilton, directed by Jeremy Connor and Derek Waters. Jimmy Kimmel Live for the episode The Red Show, directed by Andy Fisher. Last Week Tonight with John Oliver for the episode Multi-Level Marketing, directed by Paul Pennoliano. And The Late Show with Stephen Colbert for the episode 0179, directed by Jim Hoskinson. And Saturday Night Live for the episode Host Jimmy Fallon, directed by Don Roy King.
All right, I have Saturday Night Live in first place, Last Week Tonight with John Oliver in second, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert in third, Jimmy Kimmel Live in fourth, and Drunk History in fifth.
Okay, I have the same top three, except right now I have Drunk History in fourth and Jimmy Kimmel Live in fifth.
It's always hard for me to predict because you can, with these variety episodes, since they're always called something like episode 0179, you can never really remember specifically which episode that is.
Well, yes. Yeah, so I guess now on to the final category, which is Variety Series Writing.
All right, now this is where they nominate all the writing teams, and there's a gazillion names, and while I read them off in my own video about the Emmy nominations, I don't want to bore too many people by going through them again, just because there's just so many of them, unless you want me to read them all out loud.
Yeah.
Do you? Should I read them all the names out loud?
Just read off the names of the shows. Leave out the people.
Okay. So the writing teams nominated for Variety Series Writing are Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, Late Night with Seth Meyers, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and Saturday Night Live.
Okay, my rankings, I have Last Week Tonight with John Oliver in first, Saturday Night Live in second, Full Frontal with Samantha Bee in third, Late Show with Stephen Colbert in fourth, and Late Night with Seth Meyers in fifth.
I have that same exact ranking.
Yeah, so it looks like, this seems to be a category where we're not predicting Saturday Night Live to win, so we shall see what happens.
And well, we could see Saturday Night Live possibly pull off an upset win just due to the fact that this was such a big year for the show, but I do think John Oliver probably will win again.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that we've gone through all our predictions for the Emmys, okay, there's Sunday night at 8 o'clock on CBS. So I guess how excited are you for the Emmys, and how excited are you to see Stephen Colbert host?
I'm very excited. I've always thought he'd be a great choice to host the show, and I can't wait to see what he does.
Well, yeah, same here. I'm very excited to see him host an award show, and of course, I should probably bring up the subject I put in the forums at Gold Derby about asking people if they were going to boycott the Emmys, because I know some people are going to, because they just do not like his humor where he just bashes Donald Trump. They just don't think that's not going to do anything, and that's not going to make things better.
Yeah, well, we have a message for you. Get used to it.
Well, yeah. In fact, if I were him, I'd open up and like, hey, please don't turn me off just because I'm making fun of our president. Because look, it's your problem, not mine. And no, I mean it's literally your problem because you're the ones who elected him, not me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, these Trump supporters, they're quite something. I mean, there's that one video. It was called like Trump supporter leaves CNN anchor speechless. Last time I checked, it had like 15 million views.
Well, as I mentioned in the forums, I'm not sure how much of these people boycotting Stephen Colbert support Trump, because the person I talked to told me that she just does not think his sense of humor is gonna make things any better. Though, of course, again, I also posted an interview with Stephen Colbert saying that look, he knows his humor is not gonna do anything about the administration. He's just obviously just showing Well, at least making people feel better about it. I mean, he's not gonna. It's not like he's gonna take down the president.
No, but I'm sure he's going to crack a few jokes here and there just about something related to him, because it's like, I, I, I mean, it's if people are expecting for there to be zero Trump references, you're extremely naive. I mean, there's going to be at least a few. I mean, I know people are like, "Oh, just leave politics out of award show, please." I I mean, I personally don't mind political jokes or people making political speeches if they're doing it in a good way, like with Meryl Streep's Cecil B. DeMille speech at the Golden Globes, where she denounced Trump's mocking of a disabled reporter. I mean, if you're just gonna get up there and make a political statement and not thank any of the people in your project, then yeah, that's maybe going a little too far. But I mean, if you want to like make a statement about the power of the arts or how we need to be a diverse society and not reject people from other countries, that's fine. Definitely do that, but don't forget to thank the people who are responsible for helping you get the award in the first place.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, and of course, and also not forget Stephen Colbert's little presentation when he presented at the Tonys a few months ago.
Yeah. But who knows? I mean, if I know you want to see Stephen Colbert host next year's Tonys because of that, but I also hope if he does well here, maybe since Jimmy Kimmel is already scheduled to host next year's Oscars, maybe for the 2019 Oscars we could have Stephen Colbert host that.
Well. Except the problem with that would be, well, the Oscars are on ABC and Stephen Colbert's show is on CBS, which means he would probably a little more likely host at Tonys.
True, but I think, but I think for the most part, people who the Oscar producers don't usually go simply by network. I mean, I know David Letterman. I know he didn't do a good job as the host, but he wasn't on ABC when they picked him, and Billy Crystal never had a talk show.
Well, yes, it's not a requirement for you to have a talk show.
No, but I think many people like Stephen Colbert. I don't think that many people hate him. I think if he does a good job here, I could see Oscar voters potentially wanting to court him for the 2019 ceremony.
You mean producers?
Right, yeah. Well, like
because
the telecast producers might want to pick him as the host for that if he does a good job here.
Well, yeah, because let's not forget, last year when Jimmy Kimmel hosted the Emmys, a lot of people saw how great of a job he did, and people felt he's ready to host the Oscars.
Right. Well, I'd been wanting him to host the Oscars even before he hosted the Emmys. I think he'd been like on my top 5 wannabe hosts for quite a number of years.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, and Stephen Colbert's on my list of people who should host the Tonys even before his presentation. But yeah. So, but in any case, well, in fact, I should also mention that with his humor, well, I imagine the jokes he could make if Alec Baldwin and Kate McKinnon win their Emmys as expected.
I mean, we'll see what he does. It'll be what I'm more curious about is like who will present all the categories. I'm sure I know how some of it will go. I mean, the tradition's always been to have the guest acting winners present, usually writing or directing, often directing of comedy and drama. So we'll probably see Melissa McCarthy and Dave Chappelle present comedy directing, and then Gerald McRaney and Alexis Bledel present drama directing, and that'll be the one case. Normally, I don't like to see people who are nominated and from something present a category with their show or movie in it, but since it's tradition here, I guess I'll give Alexis Bledel a pass since she's in The Handmaid's Tale, and The Handmaid's Tale has 2 chances to win directing.
Though, what about Alexis Bledel and Melissa McCarthy presenting together since they were both on Gilmore Girls?
It's possible, but that'll be interesting. What would Dave Chappelle present? Well, you could have Dave Chappelle present a variety series category since he is most well known for The Chappelle Show.
Mm-hmm. And well, yes, and I could see Norman Lear and or Carol Burnett presenting comedy series.
Or maybe they present both comedy and drama, like one after the other.
True.
Uh, yeah, I mean, it will. Because since there's so many presenters listed, there's obviously not going to be too many people presenting by themselves. I
Hmm.
assume one such pair. I mean, they never say who will be specifically presenting in pairs together. They never list that, but I think it's very safe to assume that since both Jim Parsons and Ian Armitage are both listed as presenters, I assume they'll be presenting together since they are both technically playing Sheldon Cooper at different stages in his life.
That is true. And so, yeah, so I guess now is probably a good time to end this live stream. So, you at home, well, hopefully, if you're making Emmy predictions, well, good luck to you. And we shall see who does their best Sunday night. So, yeah, the Emmys are on CBS this Sunday night. And hope you all enjoy. And if Stephen Colbert brings on some political humor, I say bring it on.
And if any winners decide to get political in their speeches, I say bring that on too.
Yeah.